Right Response Ministries, how would you identify or define black pill, and how or should we gatekeep it from the work of Christian nationalism / the reformative movement? Take it away.
Watch our AI episode this week.
That will not help. We would have to ban ourselves. Yeah, that we were pretty discouraged on that episode. Like there's something to be said for abandon your post and knocking that guy out.
That's right.
And saying to war.
Yeah.
So I guess I would just want to distinguish when I think of a black pill, what I don't think about is I don't think the antithesis of a black pill is naivety, like this baseless optimism.
Right.
Like my 3-year-old daughter is really optimistic, but she does not need to be leading anything. Like she believes.
Nor is she well informed.
She believes in a world of like rainbows and ponies, and unicorns, and the unicorn piece. She got that from Dad because I believe in unicorns too, and giants and dragons, and we talk about it every night before bedtime. But my point is that the guy who is optimistic, but it's baseless, is not a leader. And so anyway, so when I think of the antithesis of a black pill, I'm not thinking of a baseless optimism, and just wishful thinking. I think of a guy who, so to state it in the reverse, black pilling is not taking a good hard look at reality and admitting honestly how bleak things really are. That's not black pilling. Mm-hmm. Black pilling to me, if I was to sum it up in a word, is despair.
Right.
Like there are times, like there have been plenty of times where, like, all throughout biblical history and throughout the last 2,000 years of history, where people empowered by God, they were not being baselessly optimistic. They were looking at reality and being honest about it and saying, yeah, the odds are 100 to 1. Like Gideon. But Gideon doesn't despair. He gets to work. The Lord can win by many or by few. So anyways, yeah. So black
It's
pilling.
that scene in The Lord of the Rings where they're in Helm's Deep and Theoden King is just there
What can
and he's
men
in
do
a panic.
against?
Yep. And then Aragorn comes in and says,
Ride
take
out.
your sword, ride out.
Yep.
And so the king believed equally as he was riding out that they were all going to die.
Yep. He's still
as much as he did before he got on that horse.
He didn't become retarded.
Yes.
He was still like.
Yes.
He was still sentient and was able to say, yeah, like, unless a miracle happens, there's no way we're going to win.
I'll give you historical
But
examples.
we're going to fight.
Yep.
Enough of this fiction. The Charge of the Light Brigade and the Alamo.
Yeah.
Like we remember them and lionize them.
Right.
Because they were men who didn't just, it's over. They literally just throw their arms down, call it. But they said, we'll die and we'll die gloriously. And then here's the deal. Sometimes in history, I think of the Winged Hussars in mid 15th century, I think it was, where you have this little city and it's been for like months. They've been holed up, and at the very last second, like Prussian special military comes in and saves them. And even today, they still have parades from that. So those people in there, I mean, there was no we've got them on the cell phone. I can see them live streaming. They're almost here.
Right.
We're probably going to die, but we're going to fight as long as possible in the event that we don't. I think that's the difference. Is it's not, we're going to lose, and I recognize it. I've said to Joel a couple times, like it'll be a couple months in between, but we're going to lose, aren't we? Our people are retarded.
About every 2 months, Wes, we have that conversation where he's like, we're going to lose. And I usually...
And then a month later, you come to me and like, you're right, we are going to lose.
I usually respond by saying, I think so. But not ultimately.
Right.
Like I'm still post-millennial. Wes is... he's on life support. His post-millennialism is on life support at this point. It's pretty much gone. But like I do believe that we win, and I have not changed on that at all.
And I believe we win. It's just the question is temporally
how
the stages.
Yeah. But when I say I believe we win, I actually believe that Christ will win through the church in this temporal, earthly age, progressively and gradually. But I believe there are going to be some big dips. So like when Wes says, I think we're going to lose in terms of like this battle right now, like our country, our lifetime, what's happening with AI, when he's like, he's not saying I think we're going to lose forever or always and everywhere and every way, but he's like, with this situation, Palantir, I think we're going to lose. And I look at that and I'm like, yeah, we're going to lose. Yeah, I think so. But neither one of us says, and therefore, cash it in, like, no, it's like, ride with me. Let's ride out and we'll meet Peter Thiel, like with whatever we've got.
In the metaverse.
With whatever we got, and we're going to fight. And
well, who's that classic poem? What better way for man to die than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and temples of his gods? Like that's in our Western memory.
Right.
Yep.
Same thing with
it's a blood memory.
The Iliad,
Yeah.
like the desperate battle in the last fight.
Right.
Yep, to die in glorious battle. Not to die because you quit or you gave up. So blackpilling, long answer, but blackpilling to me is not admitting how bad things really are. To do anything other than that, I think, is madness and foolishness and borders on sin. We're commanded to be discernment, so to exercise discernment. So to be foolish is actually to sin. So that can't be what it means to blackpill, to admit the truth when the truth is bleak. So to me, to blackpill is to despair. Like I want guys who are not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they just finished their first, Kenneth Gentry book of postmillennialism, and like we're gonna win, and we're gonna win now, and and we're gonna beat everything. And I talk about Palantir. And what's Palantir? Like that guy is no good to me. God bless him, and maybe 5 years he might, like a John Mark situation. Like a little bit later on, send me so and so. But here and now, what I want is the guys who actually have done the reading. They know what's going on in the world. They know what's going on with Israel. They know what's going on with Palantir. They know what's going on with our government. And then they also, in the same breath, are like, glorious battle. So I think that's what matters. Honestly, I named him in another episode. I don't know why I'm thinking about him. I have not been binge watching Alex Jones, but he's just been on my mind a little bit. Maybe partly because I might have an opportunity to go on his show, which would be really cool. And so, but I'm thinking about the gifts where it's like, or you say GIF, don't you?
No, I say GIF.
Okay, GIF.
Because I'm correct.
Okay, great. All right. So, but the gifts where it's like, they always circulate around Thanksgiving time, where it's like, my wife, and it says, honey, please try not to talk about politics with my family at dinner.
Right.
And then it says me, 15 minutes in. And then it starts the video, and it's Alex Jones, but they removed his InfoWar table with like a Thanksgiving table, And he's like, and I can feel the demons rising up. And he's like, no, you can't have my spirit, and I'm thinking like that, like Alex Jones actually is, he's a great example. Like he's not reformed. His theology is a little normie.
He's the body type of a rectangle.
But he is a professing Christian. Not so much anymore.
He's lost a lot of weight.
He got on that Ozempic.
Oh, really?
Did he? Okay.
I don't know, but
maybe
if I was
not.
him, that's
but
what
I've
I would
seen
do.
him working out. Like he's actually putting some effort in. If he is taking pills,
I saw him in like 2020, so I was like 4 feet from him, and I was like, "Oh, this is a big boy."
This is a big boy. Yeah. No, he's lost a lot. He's good for him. He's getting healthy. But my point is, he's a professing Christian. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's a Christian. He's not a Reformed Christian. I don't think he's like, he's probably not super doctrinally savvy, but I think he is a Christian, and I think he actually does exemplify the right disposition of the dude is not he's not sleeping at night because he thinks the world is made with rainbows and puppies. I mean, that guy has looked down the rabbit hole, and knows a lot of the stuff. And even the things he's criticized are like, well, about the globalists, but like you'll never say anything about Israel. Like, to give him a little credit, I mean, he recently had Nick Fuentes on the show, and he said, he registered, on the record, like, I don't agree with some things with Nick or whatever. He said, but I think, and he gave him credit. He said, I think Nick is right about this issue. And it was about Palantir and Israeli intelligence, you know, like Alex's favorite country, you know, but he was like, I'm going to follow the truth.
Right.
Even when it leads to something like this. And so my point is like, the dude knows a lot of the negative things going on, even that one. So for anybody who say, yeah, but he doesn't really know because he won't criticize, you know, our greatest ally. Well, he just did. And so he knows, he's looked behind the curtain more than most. And yet he's like, and I can feel the demons rising up, but you won't have my spirit and you won't take my country. And I just think that is a great example of not blackpilling.
Right.
The dude is talking about negative things like for 4 hours a day.
Right. Since like the 20s.
Yeah, for the last 30 years.
Literally the last 30. I was being funny about the 20s,
I know. Yeah, you were saying 100,
long
but
time.
like the 1620s. Yeah. But like, and yet he's like, he's got every bit of a fighting spirit as he ever did.
Yep.
So,
well, that's literally faith. Like faith is the evidence of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. Literally, it's faith that enables you to say, I don't see a way out of this. And yet I'm looking beyond what is seen and saying, I'm not going to give up hope. I'm not going to despair, and I'm not going to become bitter. And I'm going to fight, even though practically I cannot even imagine, see, behold, visualize any possible way out of this. And maybe you actually don't temporally in the short term, but it is an act of faith, and which God blesses and which God favors, that does look and say, but I'm still going to put my heart and soul into the fight and go down swinging.
fortune favors faith.